Hey, we're going to talk about your next assignment. Your next assignment requires two files that I'm providing to you. They're right there. Obviously, if we're working with files, you're going to be reading in files and writing out files. Imagine that, huh? So let's talk about the assignment. Okay. I'm telling you how to name the file and work with files. You'll be reading them in multiple files, processing them, and then outputting results to both the screen and to a file. Okay? First of all, input files. There's a file called random paragraphs, which I've provided to you, which is random paragraphs. That's literally all it is. These paragraphs are random words put into paragraphs. So they don't make any sense whatsoever. So don't sit there and say, well, your English sucks. Okay, they're all random. I didn't even make them. Then there's another file called Prepositions. Y'all know what a preposition is? Has anyone even heard of a preposition?
Yeah, but like in elementary, so.
They're like location stuff. It's like on
Like
preposition.
and right.
Did they tell you? Okay, this is something weird I learned in Connecticut. Did they tell you all how to remember them?
It's like of or to
Yeah,
or.
Come on, give me a whole bunch of them. Just read them all off.
Was it
Well,
Lost Boys or something?
You know the Farmer and Dell song? Oh, no, Farmer and Dell.
No, we need to hear it.
Well, here's how it goes. Aboard, about, above, across, after, again, set by, front, underneath, along, among, around, beneath, beside, between, and I can't remember this.
No,
That's a lot of them. Those are prepositions. Okay? So that's, yeah.
Gotcha.
I figured I need to come up with something to finally use those, since they've been stuck in my brain since like 3rd grade. I don't know. Okay, so you have a file of random paragraphs and a file of prepositions. Everyone with me so far? You're going to read in both of them. Now, you need to define a function. I'm trying to incorporate a few things we've learned in this class, so it's not all going to be from this chapter. So you can define a function called random paragraph. It's going to read in these random paragraphs. Okay? And to return a random paragraph from the file. So the file has like a bunch of them in there, maybe 70 of them. You're going to read them all in. You're going to randomly pick one and return that one. Okay? You're also going to be using error checking to see if the file actually exists or not. In other words, does random paragraphs.txt exist? If it doesn't, I don't want your program to crash. Okay? So use error checking to ensure it exists. Then print out the random paragraph after you pick it. You're going to print it out on the screen. You're also going to print it to the file. Okay. Find another function called load prepositions. It's going to read the prepositions from the file into a list. I don't know what the list is. Probably use something like append. And just return a list of prepositions. Okay. Again, use error checking to ensure this file exists. Nothing really difficult there. Okay. This next part, a little bit tricky to get it to work correctly. So it says define a function called print sentences that accepts this random paragraph that we got up here, because this is a function. It says return the random paragraph. So print sentences accepts the random paragraph as an argument. So it accepts that random paragraph, then outputs the sentences from the paragraph, splitting it on periods. We already covered split. So we're going to split it on periods, include line numbers on it. You'll see what those look like in a second. So include line numbers per the sample below. For each of the sentences, if any prepositions are found in the sentence, output them per the sample below. Duplicate prepositions are allowed, but you can remove them if you want. I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. It's up to you. Now the output file, call it LIFI, stands for last initial, first initial, okay? Chapter 7 program output.txt, where LIFI is your last initial, first initial. That seems to be a big issue for people. Does everybody understand that part? So you can replace the LIFI with your initials like DK, okay? Make sense? You'd replace it with your initials. Okay, so this file is going to get the same output that you got above. So in other words, you can output to the screen and output it to the file. Okay? The same output is shown in the screen to include the random paragraph, the number, sentences, and prepositions. Okay? Here is what the output looks like. Obviously, the word sample output does not get put there. Okay? Now, I did put a note in here. The paragraphs were randomly generated, so they will not read like English. They're English words, but they're crap. Okay?
Something.
So this is a random paragraph that was picked out of the file. Okay? I broke it or split it on periods. So there's multiple periods. And then I output those sentences. So sentence 1 gets a 1, sentence 2 gets a 2, and so on and so forth. Then after you output each sentence, if there's a preposition in that sentence, just tell me that. Oh, found a preposition, on. Found preposition, in and of. In and of. So far, so good? Now, the one I want to point out is number 4. Now, you'll notice in number 4 says there's 2 prepositions, at and at. Duplicate prepositions is fine. I'm not going to take off for it. And I put a note here at the bottom. Notice sentence 4. I'm fine if the preposition matches the entire word or matches a part of a word. For instance, in number 4, the first at came from right there. The second at came from the word water. I'm fine either way. So don't freak out and don't spend a lot of time on fixing that.
Well, I didn't 3 output anything. You're just not finding one.
Because there wasn't a preposition in it.
Is a preposition.
Well, it's not in my file. I randomly picked the file and put them in there. Okay. There's actually 150 prepositions that are normally found. My list has 87 of them. It's like the word is a preposition, but not all.
I mean, as is a preposition as well.
I know. And I tried to go through the list, adding other ones. I said, you know, the hell with that. I just literally took the list off the internet that said the most common prepositions, put it in there. I just got tired of. I thought the same thing. What about this? And what about this? I'm like, no.
So is that just like an English version of Loripsum text or something?
Yeah, there's a website called Generate Random Paragraphs, and it does. I just saved it to a file. So it's just a bunch of junk. So if there's a paragraph from the file in the sentence, tell me about it. If there isn't one, like in number 3, just forget about it. Okay? Same with number 6. There's no preposition there. Okay? So far, so good? Everybody understand how this works?
Kind of.
So,
I'm not sure exactly. So,
well, you don't know how to do it, write it, but you know what you need to do.
yeah.
Okay. I haven't told you how to write it. I mean, you should know most, not all of it. You should know most of this right now. We're going to cover a little bit more of it today. So again, this output from right here to right here appears on the screen and in the file. Okay? I got that? Yes? Give you until November 5th, which basically almost 2 weeks.
Thank you.
I knew y'all be freaking out.
I appreciate it.
Because it actually took me a while to get, oh, and you'll notice one thing with these prepositions. You notice if there's one preposition, there's no comma. If there's 2 prepositions, there's a comma between them. Right. But I don't want to come at the end. So, you know, it's not hard to do.
That's what you said.
It's not. We already know how to do that. That was actually on your test. You've done an assignment with it. Is there any way you could print a string with a comma between each word?
Of course.
Sure, we know how to do that. So what if we end up with a comma at the end? How can we possibly get rid of it? We can strip it out, or we could, so if you use strip, you're going to strip off all commas. But why don't we just use, you know, the colon -1 or colon -2? It'll get rid of the last 1 character or the last 2 characters, depending on how you're doing it. So I wrote this already, obviously, so I got the output. And it was a little tricky in this section here. Okay. Now what I did for you was I put a rubric up here, which tells you how I'm going to grade. If you name them correctly, you're going to get 5 points. Yeah, I don't get this. The random paragraph, you're going to get 20 points for doing that one. Now you're going to get full points, partial credit, or no credit. That's how it's going to work. Load prepositions, same thing. Print sentences. That's literally the text that came from the requirements page. I just copied it. But you're going to get 40 points, 20 points, or no points. Then the write output file, you're going to get 10 points for writing into a file. And you're going to get 5 points for matching my output. Now, obviously, if you pick a random paragraph that's not the one I picked, your output will be different. Makes sense? If you happen to pick the same paragraph I did, your output should match. Everybody okay on what you're going to do? Okay. All right, let me stop this recording.